All right, everybody. So I'm just gonna go through a rundown of the ingredients that we will be needing today. So we need 1.5 cups of strong coffee. So what I did was I got the strongest coffee. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm a big Starbucks fan. So I went and got the French roast and I set my K-cup to strong brew, which is a slower brew, to make sure that the coffee is very strong. And then we need 6 tablespoons of amaretto. We're using Di Serono. You want those to be separated because one will go into your coffee and one will go into your cream. Then we need 40 ladyfingers, and I went and I purchased this on Amazon. They got great reviews. They're produced by an Italian company. And then 6 large egg yolks, separated. 3/4 cup sugar. And then 16 ounces of mascarpone cheese. And I have 2 of these right here. 2 cups heavy cream, heavy whipping cream. And then I'm going to need unsweetened cocoa powder. So I've added my sugar to a bowl that is on top of a double boiler. I have the water boiling on low. I'm going to mix my egg yolks into my sugar, and we're going to be mixing this for 9 to 10 minutes until it looks pale in color. So as you can see, it's starting to get lighter in color. We still have a few more minutes of whisking and stirring, and this really what it does is it doesn't allow it to solidify and get crumbly like an egg normally would. The sugar is starting to melt into the eggs, so we got a few more minutes of this. Okay, so we have been mixing here for a good 9 minutes or so, and I believe we are ready. They're well incorporated and our color is very pale. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to set this aside. It needs to cool down just a little bit before we introduce it to our mascarpone mixture. Okay, so here we have our coffee. We're going to put in our Di Serono. This is 3 tablespoons. And we're going to get this mixed up here. And the espresso was brewed earlier, and we went ahead and let it chill. So now I'm going to make my first layer. These cookies right here are lady fingers, and we're just going to do a quick dip. You do not want to douse it. You do not want it to be soaked with the coffee because it will break up. Your cake will not hold. It'll be mushy. So once your first layer is set in the pan, you're going to set this aside along with our coffee mixture going aside, and we're going to start making our filling. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our mascarpone and our amaretto. Once you have them both in, we're going to use our hand mixer to ensure that they are mixed very well together. So now we're just going to mix these together until they're very blended. So now we're going to slowly beat in, or we're going to mix in our egg yolk mixture. And that's all you want to mix, because you don't want it to be overly mixed, because then the product will become grainy. So we're going to set this aside so that we can make our whipped cream portion that we will then introduce to our mascarpone. So now we're going to add our heavy whipping cream to a separate bowl. And we're going to whisk this until it's fluffy. All right, guys, so once you can form stiff peaks, your whipped cream is ready. So now what you're going to do is you're going to mix in half of your whipping cream and fold it in. For this, you want to use a spatula because you do not want to over mix it. What will happen is it will begin to get grainy. Now we're going to add the rest of our whipping cream. It should not be watery, but if while you're making your mixture it does become watery, don't worry about it. You're still gonna have to set it up in the cooler. Every recipe that I've read or seen says the same thing. The dessert is supposed to set, so it will hold up. Okay, so once you're done folding, you're gonna set this aside and we're gonna start making our layers. Okay, so as you remember, we've already had our first lady fingers that were dipped in our espresso mix with our amaretto, and they're pretty solid. They're gonna hold up. So because all you need to do is flip it really quickly and place it in there. We're gonna add our first layer of our cream and just spread this out. Okay, so once you have a layer and you've had it spread out, we're gonna do our second layer of lady fingers. So I'm just going to be dipping my lady fingers the same way as I did earlier and placing them in. Okay, so for the last corner here, we're going to cut our lady finger in half to compensate, to make it fit. So now what we're going to do is add our final layer of filling. So once you've spread this out evenly, it's time to chill. So now we're going to be making our whipped cream that's going to top our tiramisu. I just pulled my bowl out of the freezer. I'm going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and some vanilla mixed with a little bit of Disaronno. So now all I'm going to do is get my whipped cream and put it in a piping bag. So now that I have my whipped cream done, I'm going to start to pipe on the little peaks. So once you've piped on all of your whipped cream, we're going to get ready to dust this with cocoa powder. So I have 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and I'm just going to lightly dust over our dessert. And there you have it, guys. Our tiramisu.